for you today because of a little movie called Harold and Maude. For those who don't know, Harold and Maude is it's this dark comedy from 1972 about Harold, who is a young man of 20, he's from great privilege, but he's obsessed with death, and he's experienced great pain, and so he really also likes to shock his mother. And then the movie's also about Maude, who is nearly 80. She is a very spunky woman who just lives in the moment, feels absolutely like bursting into song. She dances wherever she is, and she feels great connection to people, even though she's experienced tremendous hardship in her life. And it's a love story. So this Harold and Maude was my mom's favorite movie. She first saw it as a teenager, and she absolutely loved it and really connected to the story. And so, as she tells it, she was very excited when her college screened the movie at the school auditorium, and she went and watched the movie and enjoyed it, and then the credits rolled, and there was absolute silence. Just no reaction, except sort of mouths agape, jaws on the floor. And then she heard the sound of clapping, one person clapping, and she turned around and looked up, and in the balcony she saw this man just applauding, and his applause was just reverberating throughout the entire theater. And she thought, I have to meet that guy. And she did eventually meet him, and he would become my father. My parents are very different kind of people. My mom is very organized, very hypervigilant, worries a lot. When I was 13, I lost my house key, and I never got another one. To this day, I don't have one. My father was a lot less responsible. He was the kind of person who just did not think no parking signs applied to him. And I learned at a very young age that tow trucks did think that the no parking signs applied to him. So this is all to say my parents had very short list of things they agreed on. They agreed on the Beatles, that television was evil, and that's about it. And so one thing they did have that in common, though, that I didn't realize till I was older, was they both had a lot of kind of pain from childhood that they brought into their adulthood. And I think that connected them to the character of Harold in Harold and Maude. So when I was in high school, I actually got kind of obsessed with this movie and watched it over and over. And I think for me the question was, what about this movie connected my parents? And then it dawned on me, my parents were both Harolds. And then I thought, the next question was, well, how does a relationship work between two Harolds? And the answer is that it doesn't. No, not at all. It doesn't work at all. So after, many separations, my parents finally divorced when I was 9, and it was not a happy, amicable, friendly divorce, as most aren't. So I feel like it was just your ordinary, very typical, totally devastating divorce. And I think one way I understood it was, okay, well, you need a Maude in the mix. You need somebody who is light, who can really experience pain but kind of move through it, who is just, not weighed down, and that was really needed and not there. So that was how I understood things, and that made sense to me for the longest time. But my story has a very interesting postscript, I think, which is that in the past few years, nearly 30 years after this divorce, my parents have kind of a nascent friendship, and that correlated with them becoming grandparents. I had a little boy 4 years ago, and I don't want to categorize him or put a label on him, but he is an absolute spitfire. He just loves to dance. He'll break out to song multiple times a day. He just laughs all the time and has a huge imagination, and he just lives in the moment with such a joy for life, kind of like Maude.